One of the biggest blocks to attracting love is the abandonment wound. Hey guys, I'm Laura and I make videos that will awaken your awareness. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to heal the abandonment wound. But firstly, you need to understand there are two types of abandonment. There is physical abandonment where one or both your parents may not have been around. So I was physically abandoned by my dad. He lived in a different country while I was growing up. And then the second type of abandonment is emotional, is when either one or both parents are emotionally unavailable. You know, you may have been upset and crying, and they're telling you to stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry about. That's emotional abandonment. Whenever your emotions were dismissed, were treated as if they didn't matter, that is all a form of emotional abandonment. And I honestly believe there are a lot of people out there walking around with emotional abandonment wounds in our society, and they don't even know it, and they don't understand how it's actually affecting their life. So especially because the type of society we've all been brought up in is there has been a lot of parents dismissing their children's emotions, especially for boys and men. This is, the message that's been sent to boys and men is boys don't cry, boys don't have feelings, that's being girly, right? Yet the suicide statistics are extremely high for men, and I believe that is why. Because the message they're being sent, they're not allowed to have feelings and emotions, yet being a human being, that's part of it, having feelings and emotions. So I think there are a lot of people that have abandonment wounds. Now, when you have an abandonment wound, it's going to make you one of two people. You're either going to be an empathic type person, or you're going to be the narcissist. And you end up attracting each other in a relationship because it's opposites attract. I have videos on the narcissistic topic if you want to check that out. But, it's like I'm the empath and I'm the one that's attracted the narcissists in, and then I've learned it's because of my abandonment wound. My abandonment wound goes so deep. It's because it started at such an early age, right? I'll share my story a wee bit. So I was physically abandoned by my dad. Like, he wasn't even there for my birth. I was born into a broken home. I just want to add in there that I now get along great with my parents, have good relationships with them, and they have their own childhood wounds and abandonment wounds as well. So I've learned to forgive, and we get along great. But as a kid, my dad wasn't there for my birth. He lived in a different country until I was about 12, so he wasn't ever really around. Now, I have this memory when I was 2 years old where I remember my mum, I haven't told my mum this, but I remember my mum waking me up in the middle of the night, wrapping me up in a blanket. I had no idea what was going on. I'm only 2, and I originally thought there's a fire in the house. She's like, there's a fire in the house, it's the middle of the night, and she's just waking me up, she's wrapped me in a blanket, and she took me outside and she put me in the car. But then I realized, hang on a minute, it's dark, everyone else is in bed sleeping, and I'm just the one that's sitting in the car by myself, right? At 2 years old, I honestly thought I was being driven to the woods to be abandoned. That's what was going through my mind. I had no idea I was actually going to the hospital for an operation. So I think my mum probably didn't let me know that's what I was doing to kind of protect me, trying to do the right thing so I wouldn't be all scared, or, that's my assumption. But at that, I just thought it's really strange for me to kind of think like that at such a young age. So my abandonment wound's always been there. And I realized I had multiple abandonment wounds. So I had my dad physically abandon me. I also had, my dad physically and emotionally abandoned me. My mum emotionally abandoned me. But I remember even just being a kid, and you're sort of kids being kids, and they play up and they be naughty sometimes or something. I remember my mum threatening to send me to my dad to live. And that is a form of abandonment, because they're basically saying, if you don't behave, I'm going to abandon you. That's the message that they're sending. They may not have intended that, but it is manipulative. You're trying to manipulate your kids to behave by threatening them or something. So I definitely don't agree with that type of parenting. Again, don't hate on my mum. Went through the whole forgiveness thing and we get along well, but that was one type of an abandonment wound as well. And then as a late teen, I got kicked out of home, kicked out to the street. that's another form of abandonment. So I had this realization, like, I've got multiple abandonment wounds going on, right? And because of my abandonment wound, that's the reason, because it makes me the empath, the people pleaser type. That is why I'm attracting a narcissist, because narcissists are the opposite end of the spectrum from the same core wound, being the abandonment wound. Again, I've got other videos on this if you want to check it out, like narcissist videos that explain this, but it's an opposites attract thing that stem from the same core wound. So if you're someone that's like, you've got an abandonment wound, you may be the empath type, because if there's a good chance a narcissistic person won't be watching this video, and you're like, oh, so this is why I'm attracting in these toxic men or toxic women, because they're narcissists, and it's an opposites attract thing. So the thing you need to do is heal the abandonment wound, because once you heal the abandonment wound, you stop attracting these people in. I thought I had healed my wound, because I was going through this healing process. It was a course I was doing. There was a daily thing, right? Each day we were working on a different thing to heal, different aspect, you know? And so one day was the abandonment wound. There was a day where you're looking at the mother wound, a day where you're looking at the father wound. It was a 21-day thing, so it was like all these other days of doing different stuff. I did do this healing. I transformed. I came out a different person. But I thought I healed my abandonment wound, and I realized this year that I hadn't. I hadn't actually healed it properly. And the reason I knew that is because I attracted in another narcissistic, toxic person who had that selfish, me type behavior. And that's when I realized, like, because I was like, why did I attract them in again? Okay, I haven't healed my abandonment wound. Okay, I need to do more work with it. And so that's what I've been doing the last couple of months, is really focusing on healing this wound, because I'm so over these narcissistic type of men. Like, I'm so much happier single than to be in relationships with these types of guys, because as a single person, at least my life is peaceful, right? So it's like acknowledging, like, oh, okay, so this is why I'm attracting in these toxic people. It stems from my abandonment wound. You know, you just got to do the work to heal the abandonment wound, and therefore we will end up attracting in, you know, people that are healthy and they aren't toxic. That's the idea, right? So I'm going to run through what you can do to heal the wounds. I've been doing this myself, and I've noticed this change within me because of it. So firstly, you need to stop abandoning yourself. Generally, it's the empaths who abandon themselves. So they have this abandonment wound from their parents, right? And they didn't receive the love, validation, and approval from their parent that they deserved. They didn't have their wants or needs met like they should have, right? And so the abandonment wound will, again, you'll either be a narcissist or an empath. So the empathic type of people become the people-pleasing types, who it's like a safety thing where they're tuning into everyone else, and you want to please others to make sure everyone else is happy. You make sure everyone else is happy, so I'm safe. You make everyone else happy, so they give me love and a validation and approval, right? You make them all happy, so they won't abandon you. That's where it really comes from. It's you have a fear people will leave you. If you have an abandonment wound, you have this fear that people are going to leave. So you abandon yourself, so you please others in the hopes they're not going to abandon you. You understand? And you're doing it in the hopes they give love and validation and approval. But the problem with doing this is people don't respect you. They actually don't respect you. And they will use you as much as you will allow them, right? So it's about protecting ourselves and healing ourselves. So we need to stop this sort of behavior. So you need to stop abandoning yourself, okay? So because generally we abandon ourselves to please other. Stop abandoning yourself. Start focusing more on what you want to do. So you bring awareness back to self, back to you. Stop abandoning yourself. Bring the awareness back to you. Ask yourself these things. What do I want, need, or feel? You know, start focusing more on you. If someone, like one of your friends who knows you're the type that's the people pleaser and you're the type that abandons yourself, because people read your energy. Whatever energy you project out, everyone's picking up on it, right? So people will know if you're this sort of person. And if they come to you like, hey, I'm going to ask Laura if she's going to help me, because she always says yes anyway. She doesn't have boundaries. She likes to people please, you know, like they pick up this energy. So when someone comes to you to ask for help, you ask yourself, what do I want, need, or feel? You get inside your body, bring the awareness back to self. Don't abandon yourself to please others. What do I actually want? Because you matter too, right? And it's not being selfish. The truth is empathic people or people pleaser types, they have to start learning to be more selfish, because if they don't, they get their energy drained, they get taken for granted by people, they get taken advantage of, they start feeling resentful. I know I've been through this whole thing myself. You start feeling resentful towards people who are taking your energy, draining you, and not reciprocating, right? So it's like, if someone asks you, hey, can you help me today? Well, what do I want, need, or feel? Do I feel like helping this person? Nah, I actually just want to sit on the couch and watch some TV, actually. I just want to chill. I want a relaxing day. You know what I mean? What do I want, need, or feel? Bring it back to you. You don't have to always say yes. You can say no. And guess what? The great thing is you can say no without giving an explanation. Don't ever explain yourself to people. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You're your own person with your own life, right? In your own little world. If someone's like, hey, Laura, can you help me? Oh, no, sorry, I'm busy today. You don't have to be like, oh, no, sorry, because I've got to do this and I've got to do that and I've got to do this. That's still people pleasing. You're like, oh, I have to tell them why so they don't think I'm being mean and they won't abandon me. Like, no, you just simply say, oh, no, sorry, I can't today. And it is more respectful. Like, people will respect you more because of it, okay? So the other thing is learn to set boundaries. If you don't, again, people take advantage of you, they drain your energy. Your energy is your most valuable asset along with your mind, right? So your energy, think of it like money, think of it like currency. Be a bit more protective of it. If someone's like going, hey, can I have $100? You're just going to be like, yep, here you go. Someone else goes, hey, can I have $1,000? Yeah, here you go. You start handing out money everywhere. You think of your energy the same way. Would you be doing that if it was as valuable as money? Because the truth is, it is more valuable than money. Whatever energy you have is what's going to create and manifest your life. If you have good vibes and good energy, you'll have a good life. So you don't want to just be giving out all your energy to everyone else and not have anything left for yourself and leaving yourself feel drained. So think of it like money, right? So that's why we set boundaries, so we protect it. If someone's coming to you, hey, can I have some money? You'd be like, no. It's the same way as setting a boundary with someone with your energy. Hey, can I have $1,000? No. Same way as you setting a boundary to protect your energy. Like, no. You know? So that's why it's important. It's up to you, because your boundaries is how you teach people how to treat you. If you don't have boundaries, you're the people pleaser, you get walked all over like a doormat. People don't respect you. If you do have boundaries, and people will know if you have boundaries or not, but if you do have boundaries, you're more respected. Okay? People won't take advantage of you. So then there's the frame technique. Now, I learned the frame technique from another YouTuber that I watch called Aaron Dowdy. And what the frame technique is, it's a way to feel safe and grounded in the body. So what happens when you're the empath people pleaser type is, you know, something traumatic happened in childhood, you didn't feel safe in the body, you escaped from the bottom 3 chakras, you come up into the top 3 chakras and you're tuned into the third eye chakra. You're tuning into everyone else's emotions, everyone else's energy, right? So what the frame technique does is it helps you to get out of the head, right? To get your energy out of the head, to get out of this third eye where you're tuning into everyone else, and it gets your energy back grounded in the bottom, in the body, in the bottom 3 chakras, right? So that's what the frame technique is. It's feeling safe in the body because you didn't feel safe, you escaped, you're up here, you're tuning into everyone else, people pleasing, right? So what the frame technique is I do this every morning before I get out of bed. You light a candle, you stare at the flame. It doesn't actually have to be a candle flame, but candle flames are actually good for us to stare at for like a third eye and things like this. But if you say you didn't have a candle, you can just do this with just an object, okay? But you stare at the candle flame. And as you're staring at it, you breathe in. As you breathe in, you feel the awareness in your body, like you put the awareness in your feet, your hands, your legs, your heart, your stomach, wherever. Doesn't have to be everywhere, but just like you put the awareness, you feel it in your body, right? On the breath in, as you're staring at this candle flame. Then you just breathe out and relax. Breathe in again. Put the awareness in your hands and your feet and in your body. Breathe out. And you do that for like 5 or 10 minutes every day. So you got to think of it like the gym. Consistency is key. Now, as you're doing it as well, this is also important. As you breathe in and you put the awareness in your body, you feel the separation between you and the candle, or you and the object, right? You feel that separation. That's important, because when you're an empath, you feel connected to everyone. You're picking up everyone's vibes, but because of that, you confuse your own vibes with other people. You're absorbing other people's emotions. So this is a way to kind of protect yourself as well, right? So you feel the separation, feeling the separation, right? And then what this is going to do, it's going to get you to be, your energy to be more grounded in the body. And because your energy is now shifted and is grounded in the body, and you feel safe in the body, and you're holding a strong frame. So frame means the same thing as body. You're holding a strong frame. What actually happens is the energy you start putting off, your energy changes. The energy you start putting off is different. And because it's different, it actually makes you more magnetic. It naturally draws people into you when you have your energy grounded in the body. There's an example of this. I've seen this example used a couple of times where, like, someone's been on stage. They've literally done this where they're standing on stage. They tell everyone in the audience to direct their energy at this person, right? They focus on the person, directing the energy. This person will feel that, and it makes them want to go backwards. It makes them like, oh, too much energy projected at me, sort of thing. And then they told the crowd to bring the energy back into your body. Bring the energy back into your body. Same thing as the frame technique, right? What that actually does, it's like an energetic pull. So the person on stage started feeling drawn in. They start feeling drawn into the crowd. They feel this energetic pull. That's what happens when you use this frame technique and you start grounding your energy in the body. It becomes more magnetic. People start being pulled more into you. Okay? So this is the process of healing this abandonment wound, and people are going to start reacting to you differently because your energy is different. So the other thing is you have to learn to be okay on your own. Let go of the fear of being on your own. So I sort of always, even in the back of my mind, or even on a subconscious level, this fear of being alone. Like, I live alone and have done for years since my narcissistic ex punched me over. And even though I lived alone and I'm fine living alone, there was always still that fear of being alone. Like, you want to find someone to, like, grow old with. You know, you don't want to grow old lonely. It's like it's so sad and depressing, it sounds like, but it's really actually not when you think about it, because there's a lot of people that are in toxic relationships, and it's so much better being single than in one of those types of relationships. I would rather grow old single than in a toxic relationship with someone. So you have to let go of that fear of being alone and learn to be okay on your own. Learn to enjoy your own company. Like, when I'm on my own, like, sometimes I might watch some TV and stuff, but I actually do a lot of, like, you know, focusing on hobbies or just learning stuff from the internet. You know, there's so much information out there that I've learned so much more outside of school from the internet, you know? So it's just like being comfortable in your own, like, by yourself, really. Just being comfortable, and then you got the fear, because what happens is if you have this fear of being alone, and it's there and it's in the subconscious, and you're just like, and you get into a relationship with someone, you will cling on to the relationship even if it's toxic, even if it's not good for you, because of this fear of being alone. But let's say you start dating someone, you're in this relationship, you don't have this fear anymore, you've cleaned it out of your system, right? You don't have a fear of being on your own. You can now date people in a more healthier way, because if this person that you're dating starts displaying any sort of behavior you don't like, you know, some people have, like, this toxic sort of behavior, and generally if you have a fear of being alone, you don't speak up on it. You kind of let it slide, or you turn a blind eye. But if you don't have this fear of being alone and you start seeing this toxic behavior, then you don't have a problem with speaking up about it. You don't have a problem with saying, hey, actually, I don't like this, because you don't have the fear of being alone. You don't have the fear of the abandonment, because you've healed your abandonment wound. You understand what I mean? So you can date someone, they do something you don't like, you're like, actually, I'm not cool with this. You have your boundaries. I'm not cool with this. If this is what you're like, then maybe we shouldn't date. You know what I mean? Because you don't have the fear of being on your own, and that puts you in this powerful position. You're in a way more powerful position when you're okay to be on your own. You don't care to be on your own. You can be a lot more picky with your relationships. Anyone that comes in with toxic behavior, You can cut it off because you don't have a fear of being alone. You can cut it off because you're like, actually, I don't want this. I actually want someone better who will treat me right. And I will stay alone until I find that. You know what I'm saying? Get rid of that fear of being alone, and a lot of your problems in relationships are going to go. The other thing is that's important is give yourself love, validation, and approval. So the abandonment wound is like you didn't get the love, validation, and approval from your parents that you deserved. So as the empath people pleaser type, you're like, oh, I'm going to do nice things for everyone else, giving out my energy to everyone else in the hopes that they won't abandon me, in the hopes that they give me love, validation, and approval. But if you give yourself that love, validation, and approval, again, it puts you in this powerful position. You don't need it from anyone else. You're not seeking it from anyone. You give it to yourself, so you're powerful, because you don't need the people please to get it from anyone, right? Again, it's like if you're dating someone and they're not showing up the way that you want them to, see you bye. You don't need their love, validation, approval. You give it to yourself. You don't need it from anyone. You give it to yourself. You are worthy of love, validation, approval. That's what you need to understand. You are worthy of it. You might have been treated a certain way as a kid and you think you don't deserve it. Well, I'm going to tell you that you do deserve it. And you deserve to give it to yourself. It's the best thing you can do for yourself. Your standards will become higher because of it. You'll have higher standards with the people you date because you're not dating them for that love, validation, or approval because you don't need it, because you give it to yourself. Makes you so much more powerful. I hope you like this video, guys. If you did, give me a thumbs up or write a comment. And if you like this sort of content, then subscribe and hit the bell notification, because I make daily videos on my channel. So I hope you stick around for that. And if you want to learn more about, abandonment wounds or just the narcissism and empath type dynamic relationship, check out my videos on my channel, because I have other videos that go more into it there as well. So I hope you stick around. Hope I see you on the next video. Peace.